LeBron's next move just changed everything, but it's what happened inside the Lakers that has everyone talking. Nobody expected the story to unfold like this. Just when it looked like the Lakers had finally found a clear direction for the future, one decision ignited a wave of debate across the NBA. Within hours, social media exploded. Analysts couldn't agree, and fans immediately started asking the same question. Was this simply another basketball move, or was it the moment that completely changed the Lakers' future? One thing is certain. The conversation is no longer just about LeBron James. It's about Bronny James. And more importantly, it's about what happened behind the scenes after Bronny secured his guaranteed NBA contract. Reports, opinions, and reactions began circulating almost immediately, with many questioning what this meant for the Lakers' locker room, team culture, and long-term championship ambitions. Then another twist arrived. Not long after Bronny's new deal became official, attention shifted toward LeBron's future. Speculation surrounding his next move intensified, leaving many wondering whether the Lakers were already preparing for life after the greatest player of his generation. Coincidence? Maybe. But to many NBA fans, the timing felt impossible to ignore. Around the league, people weren't just discussing contracts anymore. They were debating fairness, opportunity, and whether every player truly earns the same path to an NBA roster. Some believe Bronny deserves time to develop, just like any young prospect. Others argue that his last name created opportunities that countless talented players never receive. That disagreement has quickly become one of the biggest talking points of the offseason. Even more interesting, reports and media discussion suggested that several players inside and around the organization were quietly paying close attention to how the roster was being built. Veterans who spent years fighting for every contract, young players trying to prove they belong, and new arrivals hoping to compete for meaningful minutes, all suddenly found themselves part of a much bigger conversation. Because in the NBA, perception matters almost as much as production. If one player is viewed as receiving special treatment, questions naturally begin to spread throughout the locker room. Could that affect chemistry? Could it influence trust? Or are fans simply overreacting to another headline involving LeBron James? As more reports surfaced, one thing became clear. This story was no longer about one contract. It was becoming a story about the identity of the Lakers themselves. Were they building around the future? Were they still balancing LeBron's legacy? Or was the franchise trying to do both at the same time and risking everything in the process? Over the next few chapters, we'll break down every major reaction, every reported concern, and every perspective surrounding one of the most talked about NBA stories of the year, while separating confirmed facts from opinions and speculation that have fueled this debate across basketball. Before we dive deeper, let me know where you're watching from today. Drop your city, state, or country in the comments. I love seeing how far the NBA community reaches around the world. And here's something fun. If you think this situation will ultimately help the Lakers, comment 1. If you think it could create bigger problems moving forward, comment 2. If you enjoy deep NBA breakdowns, trade news, locker room stories, and everything happening around the league, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications because this story is only getting started. The locker room questions nobody wanted to ask. As the headlines kept growing louder, the focus slowly shifted away from LeBron James and towards something much harder to measure: trust inside the Lakers locker room. Every NBA player understands one simple truth: nothing is guaranteed. Roster spots disappear overnight. Contracts can vanish after one bad season. One injury, one trade, or one disappointing stretch can completely change a player's career. That's exactly why every decision made by a front office gets noticed. Following Bronny James's guaranteed extension, media personalities and fans began debating whether the Lakers were sending the right message to the rest of the roster. While there has been plenty of public speculation, what mattered most wasn't what social media believed it was, how players might interpret those decisions internally. Around the league, veterans know the grind better than anyone. Many spend years fighting through G League assignments, short-term contracts, and constant uncertainty before finally earning long-term security. That reality naturally became part of the conversation. Players who fought through years of adversity could easily wonder whether everyone was being evaluated by the same standard. Whether fair or not, perception alone can influence team chemistry. One name that repeatedly entered the discussion was Walker Kessler. After establishing himself as one of the league's promising young defensive centers, Kessler represented the opposite path. His reputation was built through production, consistency, and steady improvement. Analysts pointed to his development as an example of how young players traditionally earn greater responsibility in today's NBA. His arrival symbolized the Lakers' commitment to building a roster capable of competing immediately around Luka Dončić. That made every roster decision even more significant, because when a franchise publicly commits to winning now, every contract is expected to support that mission. Meanwhile, fans remain divided. Some argued Bronny deserved patience like every rookie entering the league. Others believed expectations would always be higher simply because his father is LeBron James. Neither side seemed willing to back down. Television debates grew louder. Podcasts multiplied. Every new report fueled another round of argument. The basketball itself almost became secondary to the larger discussion surrounding opportunity, expectations, and fairness. And just when everyone thought the controversy had reached its peak, another Lakers veteran suddenly became part of the story. A team built to win, or a team divided by expectations. As the offseason continued, the conversation surrounding the Lakers became less about one player and more about the direction of the entire franchise. Every move the front office made was being analyzed through one simple question. Was the organization fully committed to building around Luka Dončić, or was it still trying to balance the final chapter of LeBron James' era? That debate intensified after several key additions reshaped the roster. The Lakers invested heavily in experienced players who could contribute immediately, reinforcing the belief that the franchise wanted to maximize its championship window, with Luka leading the way. Veteran experience, defensive versatility, and roster depth suddenly became the priority. On paper, the strategy made perfect sense. Championship teams rarely rely on potential alone. They depend on proven production. That's why every roster spot suddenly carried more weight than ever before. Fans began comparing every player, every contract, and every projected role. Bronny James inevitably found himself at the center of those discussions, not necessarily because of his performance, but because of the expectations attached to his name. For Bronny, the challenge was becoming increasingly difficult. Unlike most second-year players, every practice, every preseason game, and every minute on the floor would now be judged through a different lens. Fair or unfair, comparisons to his father were unavoidable. Some analysts argued that no young player should face that level of pressure. Others believed that playing for one of the NBA's biggest franchises automatically comes with extraordinary expectation. Both viewpoints continued fueling the national conversation. Meanwhile, inside the organization, the coaching staff faced its own difficult balancing act. Developing young talent remains essential for every franchise, but so does winning immediately. Finding the right balance between player development and championship aspirations has challenged nearly every successful NBA team over the past decade. The Lakers were no exception. With Luka expected to lead the offense, veterans competing for minutes, and younger players fighting to establish themselves, every rotation decision suddenly carried enormous importance. One coaching decision could satisfy one group of players while frustrating another. And before training camp had even begun, the spotlight had already become brighter than anyone expected. But while fans focused on the roster, another conversation was quietly growing across NBA media. It wasn't about basketball, it was about legacy. LeBron's legacy meets the Lakers' new era. Few athletes in sports history have influenced a franchise the way LeBron James influenced the Lakers. From delivering an NBA championship to helping restore the team's relevance, his impact extends far beyond statistics. Yet, every legendary career eventually reaches a crossroad. As speculation surrounding LeBron's future intensified, basketball analysts began asking a different question. What does life after LeBron actually look like? For years, every major Lakers decision revolved around maximizing LeBron's championship window. Trades, coaching changes, roster construction, and salary cap decisions were all connected to one goal: winning, while one of the greatest players in NBA history remained in Los Angeles. Now that focus appeared to be changing. The arrival of Luka Dončić represented more than just acquiring another superstar. It symbolized the beginning of a completely different era, a younger franchise centerpiece, a longer championship timeline, a new identity. Naturally, fans wondered whether every remaining roster decision aligned with that vision. Some believed the transition would happen smoothly. Others questioned whether the organization could truly move forward while still carrying expectations created during the LeBron era. Every discussion eventually returned to the same topic. How should a championship franchise balance loyalty to its legends while preparing for its future? History has shown that this transition is never easy. The Spurs experienced it after Tim Duncan. The Lakers themselves lived through it after Kobe Bryant. Golden State will eventually face similar questions with Stephen Curry. Every dynasty must eventually turn the page. The challenge isn't replacing greatness. It's creating the next chapter without damaging the culture that made success possible. That became the Lakers' biggest challenge. Not choosing between LeBron and Luka, but creating an environment where every player believed the same standards applied to everyone. Because once players begin questioning fairness, rebuilding trust becomes far more difficult than rebuilding a roster. And according to many observers, the toughest conversations were still ahead. The pressure now belongs to Bronny. Lost in all the headlines was one important reality. Bronny James never chose the expectations that came with being LeBron James' son. From high school through college and into the NBA, every achievement has been measured against impossible standards. Every mistake becomes national news. Every good performance is questioned. Every struggle becomes another social media debate. Very few young athletes have entered professional sports carrying that level of attention. Now, the conversation shifts away from contracts and headlines towards something much more important: performance, because eventually, every debate ends the same way. On the basketball court, if Bronny develops into a dependable NBA player, much of today's criticism will gradually disappear. If he struggles, every roster decision connected to him will continue being questioned. That's simply the reality of professional sports. The Lakers understand this. So does Bronny. The coaching staff can provide opportunities. Teammates can offer support. Fans can remain patient. But none of those things can replace consistent production once the season begins. For the Lakers, success will ultimately depend on much more than one young guard. It will depend on Luka leading like a superstar, veterans accepting their roles, young players continuing to improve, and the organization creating a culture where accountability applies equally across the roster. Only then can the outside noise begin to fade. Because championships aren't won through headline. They're won through trust. And in the months ahead, the Lakers won't simply be trying to prove they have enough talent. They'll be trying to prove they have enough unity to compete for another NBA title. Luka Dončić faces the biggest leadership test of his career. Every franchise eventually reaches a moment when the spotlight shifts. For years, the Lakers revolved around LeBron James. Every possession, every offseason move, and every championship conversation started with one question: how do you maximize LeBron's window? Now that responsibility belongs to Luka Dončić, it's no longer enough for Luka to put up MVP caliber numbers. Superstars aren't measured only by points or assists. They're judged by how they elevate everyone around them. That's why this season could become the defining chapter of Luka's career. Leading a championship contender requires more than talent. It requires earning the trust of veterans, inspiring young players, and keeping the locker room focused when outside distractions threaten to pull everyone apart. The Lakers understand exactly how dangerous distractions can become. Every national headline creates another question. Every social media debate becomes another topic players must answer after practice. Every rumor forces the coaching staff to redirect attention back to basketball. Those are challenges every championship team eventually faces. The difference is how they respond. Some organizations allow outside noise to fracture team chemistry. Others use adversity as fuel. That is exactly what Lakers fans hope to see. Around Luka, the roster appears capable of competing at a high level. Defensive versatility, improved depth, and experienced veterans give the Lakers a foundation many contenders would gladly accept. But talent alone has never guaranteed championships. Communication matters, accountability matters, sacrifice matters. History repeatedly proves that the teams willing to embrace those principles usually find themselves playing deep into June. For Luka, this isn't simply about becoming the Lakers' best player. It's about becoming the unquestioned leader of the next generation. And that responsibility begins long before opening night. It begins inside the locker room. Because every championship journey starts with one simple decision. Will everyone buy into the same mission, or will outside expectations slowly create divisions that become impossible to ignore? Only time will answer that question. But one thing is already clear. The NBA will be watching every step. The NBA never stops watching. One of the hardest lessons every young player learns is that perception travels faster than performance. A great game can dominate headlines for one night. A controversial storyline can follow a player for an entire season. Bronny James now finds himself living inside that reality. Every preseason possession, every summer league performance, every rotation decision, every missed shot, everything will be analyzed far beyond what most young players experience. That's the price of carrying one of basketball's most recognizable last names. Some fans sympathize with that pressure. Others insist that extraordinary opportunities naturally create extraordinary expectation. Regardless of which side people choose, one fact remains unchanged. Bronny cannot control public opinion. He can only control his preparation. Countless NBA careers have been transformed by players who ignored outside criticism and simply kept improving. The league is filled with former second-round picks, undrafted players, and overlooked prospects who eventually forced everyone to change their opinions through consistent work. That path remains available to every young player, including Bronny. Development in the NBA rarely happens overnight. Some players need 3 years, others need 5. A few break out immediately. Every journey is different. The Lakers understand that better than most organizations. Player development isn't always linear. Progress often comes quietly before it becomes obvious. For Bronny, the challenge isn't proving people wrong on social media. It's proving himself inside practice every single day. Because coaches ultimately reward consistency, teammates respect effort, and championships are built by players who continue working long after the headlines disappear. If Bronny embraces that mindset, today's debates may eventually become nothing more than a footnote in his career. But before that can happen, the Lakers themselves must answer an even bigger question. What kind of culture do they truly want to build? A franchise defined by accountability. Every championship organization shares one common characteristic. No player is bigger than the standard. Whether it's a rookie fighting for minutes or a future Hall of Famer chasing another title, successful franchises survive because accountability remains consistent throughout the locker room. That's the challenge facing the Lakers today. The organization isn't simply trying to assemble talented players. It's trying to establish a culture capable of competing for championships year after year. That requires difficult conversations. It requires honest evaluation. And sometimes it requires making unpopular decisions. Fans may disagree with individual roster moves. Analysts may debate contracts for months. Media personalities may continue fueling controversy. But inside successful organizations, one principle always outweighs public opinion. Winning. Every player understands that minutes must be earned, roles must be accepted, trust must be built. Those standards cannot change depending on the player involved. If they do, chemistry becomes much harder to maintain. As training camp approaches, the Lakers have an opportunity to quiet every outside discussion the simplest way possible by playing winning basketball. Strong defense, unselfish offense, clear communication, professional leadership. Those qualities have always mattered more than internet debates, because once games begin, narratives quickly give way to results. The scoreboard doesn't care about social media. Championship banners aren't awarded through headlines. They are earned through preparation, resilience, and teamwork. And for this Lakers team, that journey is only beginning. The only thing that can end the debate. Every NBA season begins with predictions. Championship favorite, breakout star, disappointing teams, surprise contenders. But by the time April arrives, none of those preseason opinions matter anymore. Only results remain. That's exactly where the Lakers find themselves headed. For months, conversations have centered around contracts, roster construction, expectations, and media narratives. Every television debate seems determined to answer questions before the season has even tipped off. The truth is much simpler. Basketball always reveals the truth. If Luka Dončić elevates this roster into championship contention, many of today's questions will quickly fade into the background. If the supporting cast embraces their responsibilities, team chemistry will naturally strengthen. If Bronny James continues developing, earning his opportunities through consistent improvement, many critics may eventually be forced to reconsider their opinions. That's how professional sports have always worked. Not through arguments, through performance. Every player entering training camp shares the same objective: earn trust, earn minutes, help the team win. No amount of media attention can replace that process. History is filled with players who entered the league surrounded by doubt before eventually changing the narrative through patience, discipline, and relentless work. Others never lived up to expectations despite enormous hype. The difference has never been public opinion. The difference has always been what happens inside the gym long after cameras stop rolling. For the Lakers, the mission is remarkably straightforward. Ignore the outside noise. Focus on basketball. Build chemistry one practice at a time. Allow leadership to develop naturally. Because championship teams rarely spend their energy responding to headlines. They spend it preparing for the next game. And if this roster truly believes it has what it takes to compete for another title, there is only one way to prove it. Not with interviews, not with social media, not with speculation, by winning. That has always been the only language the NBA truly respects. The legacy will be written on the court. When people look back on this chapter of Lakers history years from now, they probably won't remember every rumor, every hot take, or every debate that dominated the offseason. They'll remember what happened once the games actually began. Did Luka Dončić successfully lead the Lakers into a new era? Did the veterans embrace their roles? Did the young players continue to grow? Did the organization build a culture capable of chasing another championship? Those are the questions that ultimately define every NBA season. Bronny James still has an opportunity to write his own story. No matter how much criticism surrounds him today, every possession offers another chance to improve. Every practice becomes another opportunity to earn respect. Every season creates a new beginning. For the Lakers, this transition represents something much bigger than replacing one superstar with another. It represents the challenge every great franchise eventually faces, honoring the past while building the future. The organizations that succeed understand one important lesson. Talent starts the journey. Character sustains it. Accountability strengthens it. Teamwork finishes it. Whether you're a Lakers fan or simply an NBA fan, one thing should unite everyone who loves this game. Basketball is at its best when every player is encouraged to compete, improve, and earn success through dedication and hard work. That's what inspires future generations. That's what creates lasting legacies. And that's what makes the NBA special year after year. The next chapter of Lakers basketball is about to begin, and regardless of where you stand in this debate, one thing is certain: the entire basketball world will be watching. Now it's your turn. Do you believe the Lakers are built to compete for another championship? Or do you think this team still has major questions to answer before reaching that level? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read as many as I can, and I'd love to hear your perspective. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more NBA news, trade rumors, player stories, and in-depth analysis throughout the season, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and share this video with fellow basketball fans. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.